I got pregnant at 16. I know, crazy, right? And do you know what? So many people told me, including family, that I was going to fail just because I got pregnant at 16. But yet here I am, 18 years later, kids grown up, not a failure. And I want to talk about it. So I'm a week in of giving up the devil's lettuce, and my brain has been firing all cylinders ever since. And it's just making me think and reflect on everything that's happened in my life. What's happened, how I've got through it. But yeah, so back to being a teenage mum. So I was living in Spain at the time, and I came from a pretty turbulent childhood. I'd moved out to Spain. I was living with my grandparents, and bless them, they did everything for us. Unfortunately, they're not with us anymore, but I know that both of them would be very proud of me if they could see me now, even if they thought I was a lunatic at the time. So I was living in Spain. I was actually living with my sister. That didn't work out. So I ended up living with my boyfriend, who was Spanish. And obviously being 16, I thought I was so grown up, especially because I was living on my own. And I don't even know if my family know this, but my pregnancy was planned. And I'm not even ashamed to admit it. At the time, I was in a relationship with a guy that I'd known since I was about 13. We were like really good friends. We got on really well. And we were madly in love. What can I say? Young love and all that. And I really felt like I was missing something in my life. I'd never had a good family life. I didn't have a good family, really. Wasn't close with my family. I was always the... was that a spider? I was always the black sheep of the family, shall we say. Did things a little bit differently to everybody else. So I decided to have a baby. And I always said this, and I stand by it. That was a defining moment in my life, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, go out and get pregnant at 16. It is a tough journey. I am in no means saying it is easy. But the way that my life was going, you know, the decisions I'd been making, the people I was hanging around with, blah, blah, blah. I needed to be a mother. I needed responsibility. And that boy, my son, who's now 18, turned me into a woman with responsibilities. And all of a sudden, life didn't seem so bad anymore. I had something to wake up for in the morning. I had a reason to be alive. Sorry if that's a bit deep, but it's true. But when everyone found out, obviously, you got the usual, oh my God, you're pregnant. Ah! And while I completely understand their concerns, for me, it was the being told that my life was over just because I was about to have a baby. I got a barrage of unwanted opinions about what I should be doing with my baby and my body. That included things like termination, adoption, because obviously I was never going to be capable enough to look after a child. But you know what? That right there, when someone said to me, your life is over, that fueled my desire to do well in life. So I never did things conventionally, but I wanted to be the example to that boy that I'd never had. So I decided to move back to England. Me and my boyfriend were homeless. We managed to get into a hostel. That was tough, but I just knew that in the end everything would be all right, because there was no way I was going to fail that child. And I'm so glad, even back then, I didn't let anybody influence the decisions that I made. I really did stick true to my guns and just believed that I could do it. Because after all, why the fuck couldn't I? There's plenty of people who have had a baby at 16 and been fine. So why wouldn't I? So me and the dad ended up splitting up about 8 months later. I mean, it's not really surprising, is it? It was a lot of responsibility. It was a lot of things to handle. And I ended up becoming a single mum. And there's nothing wrong with being a single mum. None of us choose to be single mothers. Life happens, shit happens. And unfortunately for me, the guy that I picked just weren't ready to be a dad. I mean, come on, he was 19. We were babies ourselves. So he left and went back to Spain. And there I was at 17 on my own with a baby. But never once did I sit there and think, fuck, what have I done? Every day I used to wake up and think, right, how am I going to make my life better? And don't get me wrong, it was not all rainbows and sparkles. I had really bad bouts of depression. I had very bad postnatal depression, and I didn't even know what it was, to be honest. Didn't even know I bloody had it. And I had a bit of a breakdown. And even that was used against me by family members. I have to laugh now. But the point is, I got through it. In the face of everybody telling me that I would not do it, I did it. And I knew I wanted to be an example for my children Doesn't matter if I'm perfect, but I just wanted to show them that it doesn't matter if people tell you you can't do things in life. You can do whatever it is you want to do. So I went back to college after having another baby. Yes, I had 2 kids by the age of 20. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Honestly, I really, really wouldn't. I went to college, ended up going to university, got my degree. And when I stood there that day and got my degree, I just remember thinking to myself, this is the biggest fuck you to everybody who said that I would never do it, or that my life was over just because I had a baby. Imagine that. So to anybody who is going through shit, maybe you're pregnant, maybe you're a young mum, maybe you're just going through a hard time and everybody's giving you shit, you will be alright. I used to sit there and think to myself, I wonder where my life will be. I wonder how the kids are going to turn out. And I look at them now and I just think, wow, I'm so proud of everything that I have achieved and everything that they've achieved. So it makes me a little bit emotional actually, because if I could tell little 17-year-old Jen that we'd be here, married, living in Costa Rica, with all my kids around me, loving me, and they're successful as well in their own right, all from a teenage mum who obviously made a silly mistake, should be so happy. So yeah, just a little reflection time. And once again, you can do anything if you put your mind to it.